EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show on the Padres Radio Network.
Yeah, Machado laces it in the air to deep left. This one gonna go!
Coming up, we'll recap the last Padres game, preview today's starting pitching matchup, give you our keys to the game. Plus, we'll hear from manager Craig Stamon. From the Padres Radio Network, here's Sam Levitt.
San Diego Padres baseball coming up on 97.3 The Fan and the Padres Radio Network. As today the Padres take on the Minnesota Twins in the final game of a three-game series. Our starting pitching matchup today for the Twins, right-hander Bailey Ober, and for the Padres, right-hander Walker Buehler. Hi, good everybody. Sam Levitt with you from inside the Western Metal Building here at Petco Park. First pitch coming up at 1:10 p.m. as the Padres finish up this three-game series, the first half of a six-game homestand. Coming up in the next 50 minutes, we have a lot to do. You'll hear from Padres starting pitcher Casey Mize, who came out of yesterday's game with an ankle injury. You'll hear from Griffin Canning, who played a big role in yesterday's come-from-behind win against the Twins. We'll hear from Craig Stamon in just a little bit. Plus, in just a few minutes, we check in with Padres radio voice Jesse Agler. But first, it's time to set the table, brought to you by Fraser Farms Market. Set your table with the highest quality of natural and organic products from Fraser Farms Market, a San Diego original since 1971 with three locations, La Mesa Vista and Oceanside, and at FraserFarmsMarket.com. Padres come in 70-60. Padres have won 20 of 27 games going back to July 24th. The best record in the major leagues in that span. They've also won 14 of their last 16 games here at home. They begin the day sitting in the National League's final wild card spot, 2 games up on the Arizona Diamondbacks. Meanwhile, the Twins come in 63-67. They enter today just 1 game out of the American League wild card picture. Well, the Padres beat the Twins 6-2 on Friday. Last night, the Pods were down, but they were never out. Let's quickly rewind.
Did you miss what happened in the last Padres game? Let's take a look back with our Padres Rewind on the Padres Radio Network.
Padres were down 3-0 going to the second. Jackson Merrill got them on the board.
And Merrill swings, sends it in the air, deep to right center field. Buxton's going back. He's looking up. This one, gonna go! Jackson Merrill back on track. He has joined the 2020 club, a long home run to put the Padres on the board.
Padres were down 5-1 going to the bottom half of the 6th inning, so a little bit of a hill to climb. There were 2 on base for Merrill.
And Jackson swings, lines it into center field. That's a base hit. Cronenworth will come in from third to score, and Jackson Merrill at it again. It's a 5-2 game.
Padres down 5-2 going to the bottom half of the 7th inning. There were 2 on base for Jake Cronenworth.
Last month.
Cronenworth first pitch swinging, lines one the other way. That's a fair ball into the left field corner. Vermeer rounding third, he's going to score. Fernando being waved. Fernando on his way. The throw not in time. 2-run double, Jake Cronenworth. 1-run game at Petco Park.
Padres weren't done. Manny Machado was next.
Manny swings, reaches for it, grounds it to shortstop. Culpepper's throw to third, gets away. Cronenworth's on his way home. It's picked up by the pitcher Morris. The throw home, not in time. Tie game. And Machado ends up at second base.
So the Padres all of a sudden had a tie game and the go-ahead run in scoring position for Ty France.
Ty swings, muscles it on a line to right field. Keyshaw coming in, won't get there. Bounces in front of him, has to play it on a hop. Machado will score, and for the first time tonight, it's the Padres ahead, 6-5.
A 4-run 7th inning. Padres led 6-5. Fernando Tatis Jr. added an RBI single in the 8th inning to make it a 7-5 game. A late lead meant the big bullpen arms were coming in. Adrian Morejon pitched the scoreless 8th inning. Mason Miller picked up his 32nd save of the season in a scoreless 9th inning. Final score yesterday, Padres 7 and the Twins 5, and it sets up the opportunity for the Padres here today on a beautiful Sunday afternoon to sweep this 3-game series, keep the good times rolling. As we said, earlier. Padres are now 20-7 in their last 27 games, going back to July 24th, the best record in the major leagues in that span. As we get ready for first pitch coming your way at 1:10, let's go inside the Jerry Coleman Broadcast Center.
Let's take a trip up to the Padres broadcast booth for a deep dive on today's matchup with Jesse Agler in our Padres game preview on the Padres Radio Network.
You know, Jesse, we say a lot of things in the early part of a season, and we see how they bear out over the course of a long calendar, a long 162-game season. But this Padres team, even going back to the very early days of this season, they've been a group that really does well at coming from behind, and that was once again on full display last night. I think when you pair what the Padres are doing offensively right now with really what's been part of their identity all year, the ability to come back in games, it creates something pretty special, and it feels like that's been a part of this most recent run.
No doubt about it, Sam. And, you know, it's funny because a little bit different maybe than earlier in the year when they were having all those crazy comebacks, you know, in April and maybe the first part of May. You know, a lot of the conversation centered around, well, I don't know how sustainable this is because so many of those comebacks were sort of like wild, out of control, you know, sorts of, well, this can't be replicated kinds of games. Yesterday, very different than that. Yesterday looked like, you know, the kind of win that a good team like this can put together on any kind of given night. But the thing that those early April, you know, crazy comebacks did was just sort of instill that sense of, hey, this is part of what we can do this year. And that's really, really important. It made it a part of their identity. It made it a part of their belief system, if you will. And it just sort of put it in their minds and all of our minds, I think, that, hey, this is something that the 2026 Padres are more than capable of doing. And so even though they were crazy and outlandish and maybe not repeatable necessarily in terms of the way they were doing it, it did sort of set a tone that it is a part of the identity of this team. And then as the year has gone along and everything has kind of clicked into place, now all of a sudden you're seeing the kinds of comebacks that sort of make more sense, if you will. The constant, of course, from then and now and everything in between has been this bullpen because you're not going to have comeback wins like that if you don't have a bullpen that can hold the line. It's obviously been different guys, different nights. Last night, Griffin Canning, sort of the unsung hero, you know, giving this offense the opportunity to do what they did.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll hear from Griffin Canning coming up a little bit later. I had a really good conversation with Griffin inside the Padres clubhouse earlier today. Right-hander Walker Buehler on the mound for the Padres today, Jesse. He's been very good the last three starts, a 2.25 ERA. That comes after what had been a pretty rough stretch for Walker. But, you know, he continues, I think, Jesse, when you talk about the good stories on this ball club, right up there with the best of them, considering what he was when he arrived at the clubhouse in Peoria and what he's meant to this rotation. And the fact that, you know, he's had his ups and downs this season, but seemingly every time he's gone through a little bit of a lull, he's really found a way to right the ship again. And it feels like that's what Walker Buehler has done as of late.
No doubt about it. And I think we've sort of, at least I have, you know, not maybe given him enough credit for the consistency that he has given the Padres. He's taking the ball for the 26th time this season here this afternoon. And I know he's had his ups and downs. I know, you know, not every start has been pretty, but this is a guy who has reliably taken the ball. And that's a very big deal any season, but particularly, I think, this season for the Padres. And then when you sort of dive into what he's given them, I think it's probably more, as you said, than you could have ever hoped for, considering the circumstances when he first arrived. I mean, I'm thinking back to Peoria in that clubhouse at the spring training complex. You and I were there, you know, kind of standing around his locker the first day he arrived, and you're like, man, this is that guy from the Dodgers, but he's not been that guy. He's not been healthy the last couple of years. And what on earth could the Padres, you know, possibly expect from him after signing a minor league deal, you know, on February 17th or whatever that it was? And, you know, here again, he is making his 26th start of the season, you know, taking the ball every 5 or 6 days. And, you know, he's really, I think, been a steady presence in this rotation. You cannot overstate how important that is. And like you said, throwing the ball really, really well as of late. The good news also for Walker Buehler, unlike last time, I think we can all go out on a limb and say probably not going to see 4 Padres make an out at home plate in the first 2 innings today, as was the case in his last start.
Yeah, we may never see that the rest of our broadcast careers. I would be willing to bet. It was a wacky game in New York. We'll see how it goes today for Walker Buehler and the Padres as they go for a series sweep of the Twins. Jesse, as always, appreciate the time. We'll talk to you and Bob Scanlon coming up at the top of the hour. Thanks so much.
You got it, Tim.
All right, that is Jesse Agler joining us on our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show here on the Padres Radio Network. Yeah, good point there by Jesse. Unlikely that the Padres will have 4 of the 6 outs in the first 2 innings recorded at home plate like they had the other day in New York. We shall see how it goes. Walker Buehler on the mound for San Diego. Right-hander Bailey Ober on the mound for Minnesota. When we come back, we'll take our first look at the Padres lineup here today. Plus, we'll hear from Padre manager Craig Stamon. A little bit later, I go one-on-one with a guy who had a big impact on last night's win, Griffin Canning. We hear the latest from Casey Mize rolling that ankle. Really a freak incident yesterday as he came down the dugout steps after the second inning. He seems okay, but it's certainly a day-to-day situation for Casey Mize. We'll hear from Casey himself coming up a little bit later. Our keys to today's game and much, much more. First pitch coming your way on what is a gorgeous Sunday afternoon here in downtown San Diego. We get started at 1:10 p.m. Our pregame coverage continues after this. EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside the loft here at the Western Metal Building at Petco Park as we get ready for today's game. First pitch coming your way at 1:10 p.m. The final game of this 3-game series. Padres and the Minnesota Twins with right-hander Walker Buehler on the hill. We'll hear from Griffin Canning in a little bit. We'll also hear the latest from Casey Mize, who had to come out of yesterday's game with an ankle injury. So we'll hear from those two right-handers coming up in just a little bit. We have our keys to today's game, full look at the out-of-town scoreboard, and much, much more. But right now, let's hear from Padre manager Craig Stamon before today's game.
Let's pull up a seat in the manager's office and hear from Padres skipper Craig Stamon. Served up by Sinley Food. If you've had better chicken, you must be a rooster.
Well, quite a win for the Padres yesterday. They trailed 5-1 heading into the bottom half of the sixth inning. Padres mounting what was a furious rally, got a run in the sixth inning to make it 5-2. 4 runs in the seventh inning to take a 6-5 lead. They tacked on, picked up a 7-5 win. They capitalized on a catcher's interference. They capitalized on a big defensive mistake by Kalen Culpepper, the Twin shortstop. So a really great win for the Padres yesterday. Come from behind win. And by the way, before we hear from Craig Stamon, just so you know, the Padres yesterday, their 7th comeback win of at least 4 runs this season, the most in the major league. So like we talked about with Jesse a little bit earlier, it has been part of this team's identity going back to the very early part of the season, and they have really pulled off some memorable comebacks this year, including after trailing 5-1 in yesterday's game against the Twins. The Padres now going for a series sweep. Here was Craig Stamon after last night's game. His thoughts on another big win.
Credit to the guys in the dugout. Like, they kept the energy up. They kept believing. They kept, clapping their hands. Let's score once, figure out a way. Let's claw our way back. And sure enough, a couple of things went our way, and they were able to do it. But I think it's a credit to those guys, like the energy that they're bringing, the enthusiasm that they're bringing to every game. Is allowing us to have games like this where even though we're down, we're coming back and scoring some runs.
Quite a while with some pitching chaos. I think that benefited you in a day like today where Kyle has to come in and then Griffin 3 innings, shutout innings.
Yeah, maybe. I think, anytime guys are pitching in a similar role to what they have been pitching in the last few weeks, it's better. I don't think Kyle was expecting to come in that early in the game. But it was, once Casey came out, it was kind of back to that game plan is like, where's the, line for Kyle, and then where's the line for Griffin? And then Griffin was kind of rolling, and we needed the innings at that point. And he kind of served as that bulk guy that we've been using. And man, he just did an amazing job when him getting out of that bases loaded jam with 1 out, getting the first strike out of the game, and then getting out of it with no runs allowed us to come back in that game. I mean, he's, you could argue he's probably player of the game today. Allowed us to have a chance to come back, and he hasn't contributed to a ton of big time victories here lately, but that was one he can put on his record for sure.
You have to say Tatis is playing at another level, isn't he?
Yeah,
I love watching him go from first to home on a ball like he did with that double in front of him. It's incredible. I mean, it wasn't even close.
Yeah, he's one of those players you just can't keep your eyes off of. And when he's going, when he's running the bases, when he's running after fly balls, when he's, getting hits, it's just, it's very fun to watch. It feels very good that he's on our team and that we've got that type of player that can change the game at any moment.
Jake Cronenworth, has a knack for big hits, it seems like. The walk-off against San Francisco, you can go back to his, Dodgers 2022 playoffs. And for him, the 2 doubles tonight, just what do you make of him, consistently coming up in big spots to get you guys going tonight?
Yeah, we know from Jake is we're going to get a quality at bat. And he gives a quality at bat almost every time he's at the plate. And in those big situations, that's what it's all about. It's about just having a quality at bat. And it's not necessarily always getting a hit or always getting on base, but just putting a quality at bat out there, making the pitcher work. And he does that more often than not. And that's why I think he's more successful in those big situations.
And also, the play going to third, putting the pressure on there and ultimately misses the catch and scores the run. Just what did you see kind of on that play and just the overall how it developed?
Yeah, great base running play by Jake. I think he saw that the ball was in a place where he could beat it to third. It's a very tough play for the shortstop to move to his left and then throw back to his right. The third baseman's got to catch it on the run. And I think, that play, you can make that play, but it's a very high risk, high reward play. And it's one that worked out in our favor today.
And lastly, Ty's been great all year, but it seems like especially Players Weekend, he's enjoying it. Go ahead one tonight.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Ty's been swinging it pretty good for us all year, and maybe it's the bats or what. I know he broke the 1 bat tonight, but he's been just a staple for us this year in the lineup, in the clubhouse, in the dugout. He's been a big part of our success.
That was Padres manager Craig Stamon after yesterday's 7-5 win against the Minnesota Twins, and we'll see if the Padres can complete a 3-game sweep of Minnesota here today. Sam Levitt back with you inside the loft here at the Western Metal Building at Petco Park as we get ready for first pitch coming your way at 1:10. It is busy here inside the loft, especially for a Sunday. A lot of people here early enjoying their drinks and all the great food they have to offer here at Petco Park. A lot of kids in the crowd already as well on this Sunday, so should be a very nice day of baseball as the Padres go for a series sweep. Let's tell you who's hot, who's not.
Which player is locked in at the dish? Who needs to step up their game? This is Who's Hot, Who's Not. Presented by ASAP Drain Guys and Plumbing, a division of Anderson Commercial, your full-service plumber serving San Diego County.
Let's begin with a look at the hot category. We put one guy in there today, Fernando Tatis Jr., in the midst of a 4-game hitting streak, 8 for 17 with 2 home runs, 2 doubles in that span. His last 17 games, Fernando batting .317 with 7 home runs and 5 doubles, 17 runs scored in that span. Xander Bogaerts in the not category today. Xander just 2 for his last 17. One of those hits, though, was a double. And that's a look at who's hot, who's not. Very quick, who's hot, who's not, as we get you ready for this series finale on this Sunday. Now let's take a look at some Major League headlines as we go around the horn.
Let's examine the most important news and the latest information you need to know in the world of Major League Baseball. Sam Levitt takes you around the horn. Presented by Valley View Casino and Hotel. Get ready for Major League winning when you join Valley View Casino and Hotel's Players Club and receive over $200 in free instant offers. Visit valleyviewcasino.com to learn more today.
Well, the Yankees, who have missed Aaron Judge and Giancarlo Stanton and Cody Bellinger for significant portions of this season, well, they got one of them back today. Bellinger was reinstated from the IL earlier today after missing 25 games with a strained left hamstring. He started in left field and batted cleanup for the Yankees today. The Yankees and former Padre pitcher Ryan Weathers, he was put on the 15-day IL with a left forearm flexor strain earlier today. The left-hander apparently optimistic that he can return by the end of the season. We told you about this last night. The Reds' J.J. Bleday hitting for the cycle in his first 4 at-bats against the Arizona Diamondbacks. So Bleday with a memorable night in Arizona in the Reds' 11-5 win over Arizona yesterday. And finally, Shohei Ohtani, he threw a live batting practice yesterday in LA. There is still no definitive timeline for the pitching element for Ohtani for him to get back on the mound. He threw 30 pitches in that live BP yesterday, and still Dodgers have not announced what the timeline will be for Ohtani to return to the mound. And that is a quick look at some of the headlines from around the major leagues. We'll have a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard coming your way in just a little bit. When we come back, we hear from Padres pitcher Casey Mize after he came out of yesterday's game following that freak ankle injury, twisted his ankle, sprained his ankle while walking down the dugout steps during his outing yesterday. We hear from Mize when we come back. Plus, a little bit later, I go one-on-one with right-hander Griffin Canning. Much more to do on our pregame coverage. We continue after this on the Padres Radio Network. Padres pregame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside the loft here at the Western Metal Building at Petco Park as we get ready for first pitch coming your way at 1:10 p.m. The Padres going for a series sweep of the Minnesota Twins. A lot of good stuff going on in here inside the loft here. Everybody having a good time. A lot of people in here getting ready to enjoy Padres baseball on this Sunday. You'll hear from Griffin Canning, who played a big role in yesterday's come-from-behind win. In just a little bit, our keys to today's game. Full look at the out-of-town scoreboard. But first, let's give you the latest on Padres right-hander Casey Mize.
Who's in? Who's out? This is the Bada Fulkerson Injury Report, presented by San Diego's Bulldog Injury Attorneys, who hope you're never in an accident. But if you are, make Bada Fulkerson the first call you make. Hit them up 24/7 at badafulkerson.com.
Well, yesterday was a rough outing for Casey Mize, really in two ways. Number one, he gave up 3 home runs in the first 2 innings of the game. Padres did back him up. They came back to win it. He also came out of the game with what the Padres called a sprained right ankle, and he suffered it in kind of a really freak way. He twisted his ankle coming down the dugout steps after the end of the second inning, went back out for the third, got a couple of outs, gave up a double, clearly wasn't right. The velocity was way down, so ultimately the Padres took him out of the game. He exited the field alongside Padres athletic training staff. Here was Casey Mize inside the Padres clubhouse earlier today talking about the ankle injury, where it's at right now.
Yeah, it's sore. It's a little swollen, tender, but woke up pretty encouraged with, how I'm feeling. So, we're kind of just going to, treat it a ton, do a lot of exercises and stuff, and then, kind of reevaluate, I think, probably daily, but, a little bit, encouraged on how I'm waking up feeling today. So, yeah.
Have you required any imaging or anything like that, or is it just?
Oh, we got an x-ray last night just to be sure, and there's no fracture or anything, so just ankle sprain. Yeah.
We don't know what your kind of normal post-start routine is, but, how does this, if at all, how does it change it so far? Has it?
Yeah, I'll be a little bit limited today in what I can do. But we're gonna make sure I'm doing as much as I can, to continue to make sure the rest of my body's in the best shape and prepared to go out there and make the start. So I'm not worried about that. I'll be able to work around that as needed. So. Yeah.
Still shooting for that next start, and then the off day probably helpful. The off day between the extra off day.
Yeah. I mean, I think the 6th day would certainly be it's going to be well timed. So still shooting to make the next one. But like I said, we're kind of going to reevaluate out through every day and see where we're at. But I'm optimistic about where we're at. So
how much of a relief was it for you, just knowing the X-ray negative and everything looks fine?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, certainly. I'm glad it's nothing major. Especially where we're at in the calendar, if it's something that is, a little bit, more serious, we're kind of running out of time here. And, so, definitely relieved it wasn't, anything too bad.
How weird was it, just in the span of things that can happen in a game,
Yeah, it's just so dumb, it's, yeah, I'm a little embarrassed by it, but it's it is what it is. My cleat got caught on the step, and I slipped and rolled my ankle. So certainly never expect anything like that to happen, but frustrated by it for sure.
You said you wanted to try to pitch yesterday. Is that because of where you're on the calendar, the fact that the bullpen wouldn't be ready? Is that just because of you want to keep contributing?
Yeah, I just like to play, and I just want to contribute, and I feel like even if I'm feeling 88, 91 or whatever, I mentally inside me when I'm playing, I feel like I can, still compete, so I don't ever want to give away any chances I can to compete, so gave it all I had, which, was 91 at the time, which wasn't very good, but, tried to push through as best I could.
It was just affecting your power off the mound.
Yeah, I think just really wasn't allowing me to push off, it's pretty painful, just, kind of limited a little bit. So I think I just wasn't able to get down the mound as well, in the moment.
That was Padres pitcher Casey Mize. So the latest there from Mize on that sprained ankle sounds okay, right? I mean, day to day, we'll see. It is clearly something that was bothering him a good amount yesterday. Hopefully he will be able to make his next start, but certainly sounds right now like a day-to-day situation for Casey Mize. And as we get updates on Mize's status for his next start, we will be sure to pass them along. First pitch coming up at 1:10 here at Petco Park. Series finale between the Padres and the Minnesota Twins. Let's take a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard.
Let's take a trip around the bigs to highlight the scores that matter most with our out-of-town scoreboard. Presented by Jensen Premium Beef Patties. Always a hit for grilling.
We have a lot of games going on right now. Rays ahead of the Orioles, 3-0 in Baltimore. Nick Martinez so far in that game, 6 scoreless innings, has allowed just 1 hit for Tampa Bay. Cardinals lead the Phillies 4-0 in Philadelphia in the 8th inning. Jose Fermin, a home run in that game for St. Louis. Yankees beating the Blue Jays 5-2 in New York in the 6th inning. Marlins ahead of the Nationals 4-2 in the 6th inning in Miami. Royals ahead of the Tigers 9-5 in the 5th inning in Kansas City. Astros lead the A's 6-0 in Houston in the 5th inning. Jose Altuve, Isaac Paredes, home runs in that game for the Astros. Mets and the White Sox are scoreless in the 6th inning. Rangers lead the Angels 3-0 in Texas in the 4th inning. Guardians lead the Rockies 3-0 in Colorado in the 1st, and the Giants leading the Red Sox 2-0 at Fenway in the 2nd. Games yet to begin aside from this one. Pirates and the Dodgers coming up at 1:10 in LA. Cubs and the Mariners in Seattle at 1:10. Reds and the Diamondbacks in Arizona at 1:15. And finally later on today, Braves and the Brewers in Milwaukee at 4:10. And that is actually, that is not in Milwaukee. That's in Williamsport, Pennsylvania, the MLB Little League Classic they have every year. So that's a pretty cool event going on in Milwaukee. The Little League Classic, Braves and the Brewers at 4:10 in Pennsylvania. And that is a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard. We'll have more on those games coming up a little bit later during our post-game coverage. First pitch coming your way at 1:10 here on a beautiful Sunday at Petco Park. Let's give you our keys to today's game.
How will the Padres unlock a win today? These are the keys to the game. Presented by Rock and Block Turf and Hardscapes. Beautiful artificial turf that stays green all year long. Trust and experience. The job isn't done until it's done right. See them at rockandblocklandscape.com.
Key number 1, keep putting pressure on the Twins defense. Last night, Twin shortstop Kalen Culpepper, the rookie shortstop, made a crucial error in that 7th inning when the Padres scored 4 runs to take the lead. Culpepper has posted a -2 defensive runs saved in his first 12 big league games at shortstop. And as a team, the Twins actually have the second to worst defensive runs saved in baseball this season. They have not been, by that metric, a very good defensive team. Now, you don't have to totally know what DRS, defensive runs saved, means per se, but just know in that metric, which is a pretty good one for defense, the Twins have the second worst mark in the major league. So this is not a great defensive team, to say the least. Can you keep putting the ball in play, putting pressure on the Minnesota defense? That is key number 1. Key number 2, more Merrill. Jackson Merrill had 2 big hits last night, a home run and an RBI single. Before last night, he was 2 for 25 in a 7-game stretch. So we'll see if Jackson can keep it rolling into the series finale here today. Key number 3, control Keishel. Luke Keishel has been really good for the Twins in this series, and as of late, Keishel is batting .406 with 5 extra base hits in his last 8 games, and Keishel, who hit a leadoff home run against Casey Mize last night, right back in the leadoff spot for Minnesota today. And that's a look at our keys to today's game. When we come back, I go one-on-one with Padres right-hander Griffin Canning, who pitched 3 1/3 scoreless innings in yesterday's win, a big contributor to a big win last night. We hear from Griffin and much more when we return. First pitch coming your way at 1:10 on the Padres Radio Network.
On your mark, ready, set, let's go.
Our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. First pitch coming your way at 1:10 p.m. as the Padres take on the Minnesota Twins. Sam Levitt with you here inside the loft at the Western Metal Building as we get ready for this series finale at Petco Park. As always, it is a Military Sunday here on the Padres Radio Network, and Military Sunday is brought to you by our San Diego County Toyota dealers. We make it easy. Well, Griffin Canning, a big impact on yesterday's win. 3 1/3 scoreless innings out of the Padre bullpen. He kept it a 5-1 deficit, a 5-2 deficit, and ultimately allowed the Padres offense to come back and win the game. He was a very, very big part of that win last night. I caught up with Griffin inside the Padres clubhouse just a little while ago. Griffin, you had a great outing yesterday out of the bullpen. Certainly a big part of last night's win. 3 1/3 scoreless innings generally last night. What worked for you coming in, keeping the deficit where it was, and giving the offense an opportunity to come back?
Yeah, my changeup was working well last night, so threw that a lot. But yeah, I mean, just coming in, trusting Freddie back there to call the game, and he did. Good defense and just throwing up some zeros and letting the offense come back and do their thing.
With the changeup in particular, why is that such an important pitch for you when it's working, making it really effective?
I mean, it's pretty simple. It's just one of my better pitches. Yeah. So when it's good and I have good feel for it, and the hitters are showing me they're not seeing it very well or something like that, then yeah, it just kind of opens things up for me.
You mentioned Freddie, the work he did behind the plate last night. What stands out about Freddie working with him throughout this season?
Yeah, I mean, I think you can see him kind of off the field, building relationships with the pitchers, in between innings, kind of going through the lineup, how we want to go out there and attack guys. I know he's constantly communicating with the coaches, like night before games, going over lineups. So he's just doing the work behind the scenes and then going out there and doing his thing.
Yeah, we focus so much on pitchers and the results, but I mean, the relationships of the catcher, their work. I mean, it sounds in a lot of cases like it's equally as part of the job at having success on the mound.
Absolutely, yeah. I think it's kind of getting lost in the game now, but the pitcher-catcher relationship is extremely important. So when you have that trust and that relationship built off the field, I think when you go out there, you kind of can do some special things.
And it's interesting to think about because with the ABS challenges, now there's another thing on a catcher's plate to worry about and to consider. I would imagine that makes it even more impressive what they do, the fact that they now have to worry about the challenges and how it fits into the bigger picture of the game as well.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they have a tough job. Yeah. But, Campy and Freddie and then Duran, when he was here, they do a really good job of supporting each other and making sure each other are ready to go.
Griffin, it wasn't all smooth sailing for you last night. You did have to get out of a couple of big-time jams in those situations. In particular, what clicked in that allowed you to get out of those jams against that Twins lineup last night?
Yeah, just trying to go one pitch at a time. Not trying to get out of the situation with one pitch. Just taking it one pitch at a time and executing pitches. Luckily got the strikeout there of Bell. And then a ground out to kind of keep the score there. So, yeah, it was a big inning.
We're joined by Padres pitcher Griffin Canning here on our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show. Griffin, this has obviously been a different role for you last couple of months. You've been a starter your whole career up until this point. How would you describe, as you've got deeper into this season, the progression of Griffin Canning, the reliever?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a challenging year for sure, but I feel like I've been throwing the ball well pretty of late, and yeah, I would love to be a starter, but honestly, I just want to help the team and contribute in any way I can. So whatever my role is going to be, I'm going to try and be the best I can be at it.
As far as coming out of the bullpen, as you've done it more, are there little tips and tricks you're kind of learning that get you in a better position when you're coming into a game?
I'm starting to understand the situations that I'm going to go into the game, so I can kind of start moving around and get ready. I mean, just leaning on the guys that have been in the bullpen Wandy, has been in the bullpen for a long time. And then some of these other guys, Mason, Morihone, Kyle, all these guys are elite out of the bullpen. So just kind of picking their brains and seeing how they go about their work has been super helpful.
Griffin, with Kyle in particular, I mean, he's a little bit similar to you in the sense of he's done a lot of both, of starting and relieving, and even the last couple of years with the Padres, he's bounced back and forth. What's your relationship like with Kyle and how you've been able to lean on him a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're talking down there. It's fun down there just kind of watch the game from a different perspective. I mean, we're all constantly communicating, kind of picking each other's brains, seeing where we think we might fit into this game and stuff like that. But Kyle's been awesome, super helpful. I think all of us down there are on the same page and just want to contribute and help the team win.
Wandy Peralta, every time I talk to anybody in that bullpen, Wandy comes up. I know he's got a big personality. He's funny. I've asked other guys this inside the clubhouse. How would you describe Wandy Peralta, the personality?
I would say he's kind of like the dad of the bullpen. He's just a veteran guy. He just he's a professional in every sense of the word. I mean, he's just a good guy for a lot of us to lean on, and a lot of these younger guys to kind of look up to and establish routines. I know Bradley and Randy and these guys are following along with what Wandy's doing. So just an awesome leader.
Griffin, to finish up with this team's playing great baseball right now. You've won 20 out of 27 entering today. From your perspective, what is clicking inside this clubhouse right now? What is kind of turned over the course of the past month or so?
Momentum is a very real thing in baseball. So, I think we've seen the offense kind of really come to life, top to bottom, like guys putting up really good at bats. And that kind of just feeds into the rest of the team. The starters have been doing really well, getting deeper into the games. I don't know if there's been one in particular thing. It's kind of just been a good brand of team baseball. Obviously,
when you come in the game in a situation like yesterday, you want to keep the deficit where it is, but especially when the offense is doing what it's been doing. And they're just not out of games with the way they're scoring runs right now. I would imagine even more so that has to give you a little boost, right?
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, honestly, I think every pitcher would say I never want to give up runs. So, I mean, it could be 15-0. I don't care. I don't want to give up any runs. So it's kind of the mentality going into the game every time.
Yeah, pitching is complicated, but it's also very simple. You go into a game, you don't want to give up runs. Fair enough. Griffin, appreciate the time as always. We'll talk to you again down the road. Great job last night. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
What's the one thing Sam Levitt will be keeping his eye on in today's game? This is What to Watch For. Presented by Genesis Home Improvements, San Diego's trusted painting, roofing, and window company. Save 15% today on a new beginning for your home. Visit GenesisHomeImprovements.com.
What to watch for in today's game? Can Padres right-hander Walker Buehler keep it rolling? Buehler really, really good his last time out against the Mets. He went 6 innings, 2 runs given up on 86 pitches. Buehler has a 2.25 ERA in his last 3 starts after he had a 9.23 ERA in his prior 6 starts. So we'll see if Walker Buehler can keep it rolling here today. Put together back-to-back quality outings for the Padres that would certainly go a long way for San Diego. And this one as they go for a series sweep of the Minnesota Twins. Again, the Padres come in playing great baseball. They've won 20 of their last 27 games. The Padres entered today 10 games above 500 at 70-60. We'll see if they can finish off the Minnesota Twins in this series finale on what is a gorgeous Sunday afternoon here in downtown San Diego. When we come back, we send things out to the Jerry Coleman Broadcast Center. Jesse Agler, Bob Scanlon standing by, ready to go. They'll have the full starting lineups, first pitch, and all the play-by-play. I'll talk to you on our post-game coverage. You're listening to your home for San Diego Padres baseball, 97.3 The Fan, and the Padres Radio Network. Enjoy the game on this Sunday, everybody.